Yeah, so I mean, it kind of feels like ancient history now. But Wednesday was certainly something that was really I was waiting to see for our team. I thought we played a really good football game as a team. All three phases played really well. Played complementary football. Offensively, we took care of the football. We were smart. Played the field position game, and certainly made plays. Our players made plays when they needed to. Defensively, really, really solid all game as we have been. And then in the kicking game, specialists played great, and we played with a lot of speed and toughness. So. Getting closer to where we want to be. I think the thing that you've always got to do, whether you win or you lose, you got to separate the results from what really matters. There's always things on the tape that need to get fixed, and there's always things on the tape that you do well, no matter if you win or you lose. And you have to take the things you do well, build off of them, and then you got to look at the things that you're not doing well and say, okay, well, how can we continue to play better? How can we continue to help our players? And and I think as that's what's really important. And for us, there's a lot more out there. We certainly, I think we're making progress towards the team we want to be, but. At the halfway mark, certainly there's a lot of room for improvement. So that's what we're going to try to do. This week we're excited about being back home. Arkansas State, if you've been around Louisiana football for any amount of time, you know how big of a game that always is. And that's a football team that they're close right now. Their record might not say it, but every game in the fourth quarter, they're either winning or they're right on their heels. So it's a team that I know have a lot of respect for, always have, and I know they're going to come over here. They're going to come over here and they're going to play the game the right way. So we'll have to be ready for that.
Coach, it seems like they've made, like you said, haven't won all the games, but they made considerable progress over last year. What are you seeing? Where have they done that?
Yeah, all the way around. Long story short, right? The quarterback is playing well. The guy's a tremendous athlete. He plays well on offense. He makes them go. They're scoring a lot better than they did last year. And then defensively, they've got some guys up front that are hard to handle one-on-one situations. Good pass rushers, but they get off for run blocks as well. And they're going to load the box a little bit at times. Especially when you go in bigger personnel, they're going to try to make you earn it. And then on the outside, at corner, their corners, both of them play good football. They're aggressive. They'll play press. They run. They compete on the ball. So there's not a whole lot of gimmies out there on defense. You have to earn it. And a lot of the teams, like I said, if you go back and watch the games, it was pretty tight, and some of them managed to bust it open at the end, and kind of pull away at the end. But most of them were, like I said, most of them they're winning in the fourth quarter until kind of they have a couple things happen that pull away.
As far as your offensive line, when you went back, obviously the pass protection was really good. How would you evaluate after looking at film?
Sometimes it's about who you play against too, a little bit. And I said it before. That front was pretty serious. They had a good group and they played really good football. They got a great scheme, and I think Coach Guidry does a phenomenal job of letting his guys play. And they go out there and they cut them loose. So, I think that's part of it. We're probably overzealous, kind of the way we coached it on the double teams, making sure we doubled the D linemen to the backers. And early on, we were probably a little too thick on some of the double teams, and the backers were coming off making plays. And again, but part of that's their linebackers too. Now, both of those guys are pretty good players. We had a couple situations where we got them squared up in open field, and they made us miss a little bit. So I thought our O-line competed really hard. I thought they competed really hard, and really I thought the identifications, those things were really good. In a couple cases, you turn on the tape and you're like, well, we kind of got beat right here. It is what it is, And there was a lot of them though where we're moving in the right direction. We're knocking them off the ball. We're straining. We're finishing. So, I thought it was really competitive, back and forth. We had some. They had some. But I was proud of them, pleased with them, especially, David Hudson didn't really get to practice all week until the day, 2 days before the game was the first time he got to practice at all. So for him having missed all that time and kind of playing musical chairs all week, I thought they played really well. And it's a group that I think they're continuing to get better. And certainly, the last two defensive fronts that we played were pretty good. And I think our guys have played well in the last two games, probably their best two games in the last two.
You had mentioned after the game that Ben played probably one of the grittiest games you've ever seen. After looking at the film, was there something that kind of exemplified that grittiness that you had talked about?
I think more on the sideline, the way you felt when the game was going, he kind of sparked our team a little bit emotionally. He just did what it took to win. And I think that's part of playing the quarterback position. It's not about stats. It's not about how many passes you throw or whatever you want to measure quarterbacks by. It's about willing your team to win. And he did that for us. And, on the sideline, he has a presence. He understands. He has feel for it. He knows when to kind of calm everybody down. But then when it's time to go, he kind of provides a little bit of a spark for him too. So, I thought, if you had to pick one play, the 3rd and 12 quarterback draw that we called, he goes and gets 15 yards. What a hell of a run and play. It was well blocked, well executed, but it takes some guts to pull that thing down and run through the teeth of the defense and then go get there and then go lay out and give your body up for the last 4 or 5 yards to get a first down. So, just plays like that he's made, that he made in that game in particular they were the spark that we needed a little bit. And, you need your veteran players. You need your guys who have played, your guys who you expect to make plays. Certainly that's the quarterback. You need them to play well in those types of games to win. And our kids played really well. They made big plays and big moments, and Ben was certainly one of those guys that did that.
From maybe even Game 5 to last Wednesday, when you guys reviewed the tape, how would you describe just how much of a turn of the page the performance and the execution was from the Marshall game versus what you guys have reviewed the first 5 weeks?
Yeah, offensively, it was much better. As far as just operating within the offense and in the system. Like I said, the identifications were really good up front. We were really on the same page 90% of the game. Quarterback and receiver were in sync a little bit. Receivers made plays that I felt like we had some opportunities in other games that, kind of maybe came up short on some. And the quarterback made throws that there were some games that we felt like, man, we left it out there a little bit. Defensively, at halftime, as well as we played, our defensive staff was a little frustrated because there were some automatics that we had in the game plan that we didn't get in certain looks. And so they were a little frustrated with it. But our defense, I just, one of the things on defense that you have to do is you have to play with unbelievable effort and intensity. And our defense does that. So even when it's not perfect, even when it's not great, you've always got a chance when you fly around and you tackle the football the way that we do. And so the first half, there were some things that we weren't pleased with on the defensive side of the ball that we felt like we needed to execute a little bit better. Got it cleaned up at halftime and did a great job in the second half. The drive that they had in the second half, we made a decision that we're going to make them drive the field. We're not gonna go up there and give up an explosive that goes for 70 because we're, trying to be heroes and trying to, sack the quarterback and do all these things that, certainly you're trying to do that, but we're not going to try to pressure and put our players in a bad position. We're going to make them earn it all the way down the field. We did. They scored. Good drive by them. It took up a lot of clock, which we were fine with. And especially at that point offensively, we were moving the ball a little bit, having some success. So I thought our defense again was really good. Offensively, I felt like that was the best that we've executed all year consistently. And then special teams was, I think the things that we've done well, covering kicks, covering punts, those things have been really good. We had a little bit of a miscommunication on one of the punts that came close that certainly, we talked about on the sideline, got it fixed, got it corrected. And then, certainly when your field goal kicker goes 3 for 3 and puts 9 points on the board, those are things that, you need those things. You need all 3 phases playing together for 4 quarters, and I felt like that was the first time this year that we really had that.
Are you looking at Ben taking all the first team reps and starting on Saturday? Is that still the situation you're in?
Probably, like I said with Chandler, I think Chandler understands now that he's got to make sure that he's honest with us about the way that he feels. I think the first game, he just wanted to play. He's tough and he's competitive. But certainly the information that we have right now, I would not expect wouldn't expect Chandler to be in position to take all the first team reps, or nor should we at this point. Right now, I think Chandler was probably doubtful for this week. We're going to do everything we can to get him back as soon as we can. But yeah, as of right now, it would be Ben taking the first team reps. I hope we can get Chandler back either this week or next week, where at least he can start practicing a little bit more. Leading up to Marshall, he really wasn't able to practice. I don't believe that you go from 0 to 100 in a couple of days. That's not realistic. We'll see where he's at. We talked as a staff today with the trainers and things like that. But we're going to see where Chandler's at when we get to practice today. I just think that the nature of what he's got going on it's probably pretty doubtful for this week as well.
You spoke about Kenny having a good game, and he did. He had a fantastic game, especially coming off of that South Alabama loss. Can you talk about the confidence that you have in him and what inspires that confidence?
I say it all the time. I've never been a kicker. I don't know anything about living that life, but it doesn't seem very easy to me. And I think the thing that I love about Kenny, and I've seen it. He's been here for a number of years now, is he just goes out there and kicks the next kick. He doesn't overthink things. He lines up and he goes and he takes footwork and he tries to put it between the pipes. And I really felt like the field goal that Kenny made against South Alabama was huge, and having confidence. And then last week, he had a pretty good week again last week. And then whenever we got down there, I kind of told the staff before the game that, if we got down in the red zone, gold zone area, and we had a fourth down, that no matter what the analytics said, for a number of reasons, we were going to kick it. Number one, I thought points would be hard to come by against Marshall. And number two, I felt like we needed Kenny to make a kick, and have some confidence, because I felt like we might need him, at the end of the game. So, we got down there in the first half. It kind of worked out that way. He went out, he nailed it, which ended up being huge. It was the only points in the first half that we had. So, when he hit it, then you kind of felt like, okay, well, maybe we're on to something here. And then certainly he makes the second one. And then the last one was really probably fringy range-wise. I certainly wouldn't say that's a sure thing field goal when you start talking about 50-yard field goals. But Kenny was standing there, and I asked him, I said, hey, you going to make it? And he said, yeah. So I said, all right, we'll go kick it. So I knew he had the distance to do it. One year he won a spring game on a 52-yard field goal. So seen him do it before. I think a lot of times the confidence comes in knowing the way that kids prepare. And, certainly, Kenny, again, he came into the season. To me, it was his job, without a doubt. Didn't win the job in camp, really got beat out. And all the guy did was just show up every day, worked really hard, continue to compete, keep kicking, and he got his opportunity. And I'm happy for him. Not surprised, because I felt, I kind of talked to you guys earlier in the year. I felt like it was his job. I felt like he was going to be the one. I was going to be the guy, and kind of didn't work that way. But he didn't pout. He didn't complain about it. He just showed up every day, continued to be a great teammate for Preston and for the rest of the guys. And, now he's gotten his opportunities, made the most of it.
24 years that you played, but now your 7th year as a college coach. How would you rank the attempt to get home after the game as opposed to other games that you've participated?
Second worst. FAU. My sophomore year, Wednesday night in Boca Raton, we won 6-0. Last play of the game, Mike Adams broke up a pass in the end zone that would have won the game for them. And we left Boca Raton, had to fly all the way to Houston, and the buses picked us up at 6:30 in the morning in Houston from the tarmac to bring us back. That was the worst. Wednesday was second worst, and then the App State trip where we had to spend an extra night was probably third. But at least we had a nice hotel we got to stay in, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, that was the second worst.
So can you detail it a little bit?
Yeah. So we finished the game. Certainly it was late because of the lightning delay, and then we get out of the locker room. We get to the plane. Everything's good. Get on the plane, and we're sitting there, and then we're just sitting there. I'm grading tape and I'm making notes and all this stuff, and I start to realize like we've been here for quite a while, an hour and a half maybe. 2 hours. So an hour and a half, and I'm like, man, what is going on here? So they say there's fog in Lafayette, and they do maintenance on the runways in Lafayette at night right now. So their landing system is down for I guess when you don't have a visual, it has, whatever. So then they tried to figure out a flight plan to get us somewhere else, which thankfully they found Baton Rouge, not Houston. They had to figure out a flight plan to Baton Rouge, and then Troy had to get on the horn, figure out how to get buses over there, which we had 2 Hotard buses, and then campus was awesome. They had 2 guys that volunteered to come over there and come pick us up. So I got back home at 6 a.m. On a Thursday morning. So yeah, it was a challenge. Made it better when you win, though. I can tell you that. It's worse when you lose.
He fails to mention that right when you got off the plane in Baton Rouge, the skies opened up and everybody was waiting for their bags to come out in a monsoon.
I did have
And so by the time we got onto the bus, everybody was soaked to the skin. Players, everybody except Mike.
I was wet too, man. Don't leave me out of that. I was wet too. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't look as wet as
It was a rough trip back, but it's part of the story. The kids will never forget it.
Can you talk about the defensive effort of Braylon, career high in tackles in the previous game, got that interception for 25 yards in the win?
Braylon's just one of those guys that he just never stops impressing you. First of all, the type of kid that he is, all right, just a soft-spoken, but just, the way he doesn't play like his demeanor. He's soft-spoken. He's a great kid. When you talk about people that are all in on the program, that guy is a raging Cajun, to his core. I mean, I remember recruiting him out of high school, and this goes way back. It's probably more than you want to hear, but it took us a long time to offer him. I recruited him, and we recruited him all through the summer, through the spring, the whole deal. Got him to camp. We didn't offer him. Felt like he was just a really good player. And then his senior tape was just unbelievable, But the whole time I recruited him, he never complained. He never asked, when am I going to get an offer? Never a word about it. And in November of his senior year, we offered him. And within a week he committed. This is where he wanted to come. And every day since then that he's been here, he's worked like he wants to be here. And, the guy's made a ton of plays in his career. All right, he's played great football. He's done everything that you want a safety to do. But this year he's even elevated his game, and it's what we needed him to do, He's one of those guys that he's been a co-starter for years. Now he's the starter in the secondary, and now it's his secondary. He needs to raise his game, his level of play, and bring the younger guys along, and he's done a phenomenal job of that. So you can't say enough about guys like Braylon. You just go down the line of kids that just they bleed for this place, and they love it. They love being a part of this thing, and so you can see it in the way that they play, and Braylon's one of them.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, for you as a play caller, when your guys are able to, as receivers, are able to beat one-on-one coverages, go up and make those type of plays, spectacular catches and all that stuff, does it make it easier for you to say, all right, we can go back to him because I know he's going to make that play because he just made it, 2 or 3 plays ago?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're not consistently throwing and catching the football, you're way more hesitant to do it because, 2nd and 10, especially when you ain't throwing it well, especially 2nd and 10s, that's tough. It's not a good down and distance to be in. If you know and you have confidence the quarterback is going to make good decisions and your players are going to make the plays they're supposed to, and then some on top of that, you feel a whole lot more confident throwing the ball 2-3 times in a row. And, I think particularly in the last game that we knew we had to throw the ball well to win. But that's kind of who we are a little bit this year. We're not a group that can just line up. We're running it. We know we're running it. We're going to do it. But at the same time, we're not a team that can just go wide open and throw it every down either. We need to be complementary on offense, run the ball, have runs that set up passes, have pass sets that set up runs. So it makes it a whole lot easier. And whenever you're running the ball effectively, play action is better, right? You can throw it out of run sets because they're committing more to the box. And so, those things make it so much better. And, this thing is, the coaches need to do a great job for the players, and we need to try to give them a great plan that they can go out there and have success. And then the coaches need the players to go make the plays they're supposed to make. It's just one of those things that, it's not one or the other. I don't care who you are. You can dial up the best plays in the world. The players got to go play, and our players played. They played great. At the same time, every play that you run on offense is designed to work. They are. They always talk about who has the pin last, but it takes both sides of it, and our players were just phenomenal. On Wednesday night, and truthfully, coming back, I felt like there were some things I could have done a whole lot better for them, particularly on third downs and our third down plan. But our players, they made plays when they needed to, and I'm proud of them for it, because that was a pretty tough environment, especially early on. In the first half, they had some energy in that stadium, and the way they play on defense, they challenge everything. So I was proud of our players. I thought they did a heck of a job, and it certainly makes it easier. You're a better coach when you got better players. I know that.